Hi, do you want to go to Sikkim and have 6 days in hand? Well, here are 6 ways to spend 6 days in sexy Sikkim. Let's get started. Keep an eye out for these keys so that you can plan your trip according to your liking. Sikkim is a northeastern state of India and can be reached from northwest Bengal. You can reach any of these 3 starting points: Siliguri train junction or bus terminal, New Jalpaiguri train junction, or Bagdogra airport. Now I do know that Pakyong airport is present in Sikkim, but it has very few flights and very uncertain flight schedules, so I wouldn't recommend using this method. Route number 1: Gangtok, East Sikkim and North Sikkim. This is going to be the most cost-effective way to travel to Sikkim. First of all, you'll have to reach Gangtok from one of the 3 starting points. You can get shared cabs from Siliguri and New Jalpaiguri for as low as 350 rupees per head. But get ready to be cramped for room, as there's going to be 10 people in one vehicle like a Tata Sumo or a Bolero. You can also get private cabs from Siliguri and NJP, and private cabs are the only mode of transportation from Bagdogra. You can get a private cab from Bagdogra to Siliguri, from where you can get the shared cabs, or from any 3 of these cities. You can get private cabs till Gangtok for 1000 to 1500 rupees. After you reach Gangtok, what do? You get a hotel or a homestay or a hostel. You can stay there for as low as 700 rupees for 2 people or as high as 20,000 rupees per night for 2 people. After checking your luggage into the hotel, you can come out and roam about in MG Marg, which looks exceptionally beautiful all year round, and you can also have some dinner over there. The next morning you wake up really early and have some breakfast, and after that you can board a shared cab to go to Somgo Lake, Harbhajan Babaji Ka Mandir and Nathula Pass. It's going to cost you about 1500 rupees for Somgo Lake and Baba Mandir, and if you want to cover Nathula as well, it's going to cost you 2000 to 2500 rupees. You return to Gangtok in the evening so that you can have dinner and go to sleep. The next morning, after having an early breakfast, you head out for North Sikkim. You go towards the North Sikkim taxi stand, and from there you get on the shared cab, again 10 people in one vehicle, and then head off towards Lachung. On the way, you'll see beautiful waterfalls and sceneries where you'll want to stop and take pictures. The lunch and other food you'll get won't be that good over here, but the scenery is sure to make up for everything. You'll reach Lachung homestay in the evening, and you'll have to spend the night over there. The next morning, you'll head towards Yumthang Valley. At the Yumthang market, you can have some breakfast and then head towards the beautiful Yumthang river. After that, you can either go towards 0 Point Sikkim or towards Katao. Both these places are 15,000 feet in altitude, but if you don't have waterproof boots or clothes, then you don't have to worry, because there are street shops set up from where you can borrow for very nominal prices. You can also get some food and even some booze over there if it gets really cold. After spending some time over there, you return to Lachung for lunch. After having some lunch, you head off towards Lachen, where you will be spending the night. The next morning, you'll wake up to beautiful Lachen and travel quite some distance, climb quite some altitude to see Guru Dongmar Lake, which is at an altitude of 18,000 feet. Many people, due to lack of oxygen, have some difficulty breathing, so please take the appropriate medicines. Another trick is to smell camphor, which alleviates breathing problems. You return to Lachen for some lunch and head back towards Gangtok to spend the night in a hotel. This whole North Sikkim trip will be organized by your tour agency, which includes food, accommodation, travel, and an amazing local driver. Be sure to make these plans before you reach Sikkim, as they'll need to get permits for everything before you set out. On the 6th day, you wake up in Gangtok, do a little souvenir shopping, and then head off towards the ending point, either Siliguri or New Jalpaiguri or the Bagdogra airport. Route number 2: North Sikkim, South Sikkim and West Sikkim. This is an ultra sightseeing tour and you'll be covering a lot of places. Starting from Gangtok. You'll have to reach Gangtok in the same way as in the first route and stay in one of the many hotels, homestays and hostels available over there. On day 2, you head off towards North Sikkim. First you go to Lachung, while viewing many waterfalls on the way and the beautiful scenery. From Lachung, you go towards Yumthang Valley. From Yumthang Valley to Zero Point or Katao, and then you head back towards Lachung and then towards Lachen. You spend the third night at a Lachen homestay. The next morning you go towards Gurudongma Lake at an exceptionally high altitude, and if you don't run out of breath, you return that night to Gangtok. Now on day 5 from Gangtok, you get a private cab which the tour agency can book for you and head off towards Ravangla. In Ravangla, you spend some time at Buddha Park and the Samdruptse Hill. Both are beautiful places with magnificent sceneries, both natural and man-made. And after spending some time over there, you head off towards Pelling. In Pelling, you can go and take a look at the Pema Yangste Monastery, the Rabdense ruins, and the Tashiding Monastery. You spend the night in a hotel or a homestay over here. The next morning, you head towards the Pelling Skywalk, the Sangacholing Monastery, and the Chenrizik Buddha statue. All three are just next to each other, so you shouldn't have any problem locating any of them. After spending some time over there, you head off towards Yuksum, but on the way, you take stops at Rimbi Falls, the Rimbi Orange Garden, the Sewaro Rock Garden, Ketchiopalli Lake, and the Kanchenjunga Falls. You finally reach beautiful Yuksum and spend the night in a beautiful homestay over there. The next morning you come down from Yuksum to Pelling, and if you have some time and the balls, then you do some paragliding. After the paragliding, you can go towards the ending point so that you can finally head home. Route number 3. East Sikkim, South Sikkim and West Sikkim. This is also an ultra sightseeing tour and covers a lot of places. On day 1, you reach Gangtok from the starting point and spend the night in a hotel or homestay or hostel over there. The next day, you take a tour of the Somgo Lake, Harbhajan Babaji Ka Mandir and Nathula Pass and then return to Gangtok. You spend the night in the same or a different hotel, homestay or hostel. The next day, early morning, you head off towards South Sikkim. From Gangtok, you get on a private cab, which you have to book in advance, and head off towards Namchi. Over there you go to Siddheshwar Dham, also known as Char Dham, the Tendong Hill, and then travel to Ravangla to spend the night in a hotel or homestay. At night you can see the beauty of the Buddha Park with all the lights illuminating the great golden Buddha. On day 4, you go towards Buddha Park and Samdruptse Hill, and after spending some time over there and having lunch, you head off towards Pelling. In Pelling, you visit the Pema Yangste Monastery, the Rabdense ruins, and the Tashiding Monastery. You spend this fortnight at a hotel or homestay in Pelling. The next morning, you wake up to beautiful Pelling and head off towards the Pelling Skywalk, the Sanjacholing Monastery, and the Chenrizik Buddha statue. After that, you head off towards Yuksum while covering Rimbi Falls, the Rimbi Orange Garden, the Sewaro Rock Garden, the Ketchiopalli Lake, and the Kanchenjunga Falls on the way. You spend the night in a beautiful Yuksum homestay, and the next morning, you can return to Pelling to do some paragliding and then finally head towards the ending point so that you can go home. Route number 4. This route is a completely different one from all the others you've seen before, and this is called the Silk Route. This whole trip is done within East Sikkim, and from the starting point, you don't go towards Gangtok, but instead go to Itchagao, Rishikhola or Rolep. You spend the night in a homestay in either one of these beautiful places. You can spend the next day in the same homestay or head off towards the village of Mankhim. After that, from Mankhim, you go towards Zuluk, where for the first time, you see the beautiful hairpin bends for which the Silk Route is most famous. On day 4 from Zuluk, you can head towards another beautiful village called Nathang. The next day, you have to wake up early because you have a lot of places to cover, such as the Old Baba Mandir, Kupup Lake, Nathula Pass, Harbhajan Babaji Ka Mandir, the Somgo or Changu Lake, and then finally reach Gangtok. On the last day, you can do some souvenir shoppings in Gangtok's MG Marg and then head off towards the ending point so that you can finally go home. Route number 5. On day 1, you reach Gangtok from the starting point and spend some time at MG Marg have some dinner over there and spend the night in a hotel, homestay or a hostel. The next morning, after a little bit of local sightseeing, check out my Gangtok video to know more, you head off towards Namchi in South Sikkim. Over there you can visit the Siddheshwar Dham, also known as the Char Dham, and Tendong Hill. From Namchi, you come to Temi Tea Garden, the only place in the whole of Sikkim where tea is grown. You spend the night at the Temi Tea Garden homestay. Day 3 can be spent as a relaxing day at Temi Tea Garden, where you just enjoy the beautiful nature, take some beautiful clics and upload to your Insta. On day 4, you leave Temi Tea Garden and head towards Ravangla, where you visit the beautiful Buddha Park and the Samrupse Hill. After completing those in the morning, you have some lunch and then head towards Pelling. After reaching Pelling, you can visit the beautiful Pema Youngster Monastery, the very old Rabdanse ruins, and the amazing Tashiding Monastery. You spend the 4th night at a Pelling hotel or homestay. The next morning, you visit the Pelling Skywalk, the Sangacholing Monastery and the Chinrizik Buddha statue, and then head towards Yuksam. On the way, you visit the Rimbi Falls, the Rimbi Orange Garden, the Sewara Rock Garden, Khichapalli Lake, and the Kanchenjunga Falls. You spend the night at the beautiful Yuksam homestay. The next morning from Yuksam, you come down to Pelling, and again you can do some paragliding over here, and then head back towards the ending point so that you can go home. Number 6. In Sikkim, you can do trekking for 1 day or trekking and camping for 2 days and 1 night. In many places, you can do it in East Sikkim from Gangtok, as there are numerous day treks available everywhere. You can do it in South Sikkim from Ravangla, namely the Menam Hill Trek and Camping, and also in West Sikkim from Pelling or Yuksam, which is the Khichapalli Lake Trek and Camping. These are all adventure sports as denoted by the A. Now the bonus that you've all been waiting for. This is the Phokte Dara Trekking and Camping in West Sikkim. This can be done if you add 1 day and night to the whole trip, that is 7 days and 6 nights. So on day 1, from the starting point you have to reach the village of Hille. The first night you will be spending in a Hille homestay. On day 2, you start trekking from Hille and reach Barse. It's going to be about 4.5 kilometers and it's going to take 2 or 3 hours. On day 3, the main body of the trek begins. You start at Barse, cross Deolingadhap and reach Joributi. This whole trek is about 12 kilometers and will take you around 6 to 7 hours. On the 4th day, you trek from Barse through Thulodhap and reach Kharkadara or Kalijhar. This is also a 12-kilometer trek and will take you 6 to 7 hours to complete. On day 5, from Kharkadara or Kalijhar, you head towards the Phokte Dara Peak and the Singalila Pass and then return back to Thulodhap. This is going to be around 10 kilometers for 6 to 7 hours. On day 5 from Thulodhap, you cross Anchale and reach Uttari after crossing 12 kilometers for 6 to 7 hours. You spend the 5th night at an Uttari homestay. On day 7, if you have time in hand, you can do some bungee jumping from the Singshore Bridge in Uttari and also paragliding in Pelling before returning to the ending point so that you can finally go home. If you like watching travel videos and vlogs, check out my first channel where I do exactly that. I hope some of these things has been helpful to you. If it has, give a like to show your support so that I can continue making these kind of videos. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified of the next videos as soon as they're out. Happy travels!